Is this vehicle potentially worth your time and money? These are pretty cool. The Trailblazer, if you guys were wondering, yes it is. It's 14.5 feet long. Thoughts of this 23 Trailblazer is offer. It reminds me of my old FJ Cruiser days. What's up guys? This is Automotive Anonymous, and if you're new to my channel, I typically do car reviews, truck reviews, 0 to 60s with the GPS, and other cool stuff. Today I have a 2023 Chevy Trailblazer LT, generously borrowed by Twin Falls Chevy in Southern Idaho, so I'll link it below if you're in the market. And I want to show it to you to decide, is this vehicle potentially worth your time and money? These are pretty cool. The Trailblazer competes against competitors like the Kia Soul or the Nissan Kicks. It started in 2021, and Chevy sells about 60,000 of these a year. A base would start about 22,000. This one, MSRP, is about 25.5, being the base LT, which is the second of the 4 trim levels, in sterling gray metallic, which is a really cool color. Gas tank's located right there on the driver's side. It's a 13.2 gallon tank, so getting 29 city, 31 highway means you're road tripping for cheap, up to about 400 miles between stops if you really want. It is a 5-star crash test rating, so it has things like heads-up display with the lights. Adaptive cruise can be optioned, but then standard is lane keep assist, lane departure warning, and pedestrian braking, because when you're driving your Trailblazer, you don't want to be hitting stuff or hitting people, because that would be horrible. And if you guys were wondering, yes it is. It's 14.5 feet long, about 6 feet wide, and roughly 5.5 feet tall, with a whopping 7.5 inches of ground clearance. If you have a tow package, this puppy can tow about 1,000 pounds of puppy, which just so happens to be 62.5 of my puppy, Lady, right here. And weighing about 3,300 pounds, it's pretty light on its feet, having an 8.5 foot wheelbase. We'll talk about the driving impressions in just a little bit, as with the engine. But this is the 1.2 turbo with a CVT and front wheel drive. You can pay a couple thousand more and get a 1.3 liter that makes more power. That also has a 9-speed Chevy transmission, which is pretty good. And then all-wheel drive configuration. With that said though, guys, let's finish up with the wheels and hop inside. It's a Continental 225, 60, 17, and the two-tone wheel color looks pretty darn cool. You can lock and unlock with the push of a button. The door panel looks really good. It's all dark color materials except for the inserts. Has a nice trim piece. It is kind of the soft touch, cheaper materials, but they would be easy to clean, and they're probably going to age really well. You have a 4-speaker sound system as standard, but you can option a 6-speaker or a 7-speaker Bose. Cup holder or bottle holder, really nice. Door pocket actually goes pretty far back, so you can hide some snacks where the kids can't see them, and maybe the dog can't even smell them. Otherwise, nothing on the door sill. The mats are not yet installed. Rubberized pedals, hood release, a little bit of storage. Lighting controls. They are power and heated seats. They are comfortable. The bolstering is not too aggressive, but it does hold you in place and probably will work for most body types. Firing it up with the push button start. You also have remote start. The horn sounds adequate. A little bit high pitched though. Cruise settings on the left. Voice and audio on the right. Behind the left there's no paddle shifters, but what you do get are some buttons up and down to go through your audio settings, and then volume controls up and down on the right. Going through our infotainment, you have a couple good bits of information related to economy, a vehicle like oil and higher pressure, things like that, and then trip, how far you've gone. MPG looks horrible right now because most of the time has been spent idling. The ventilation throughout the vehicle is really good. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay on the 7-inch display. And the camera, it's a little bit grainy, but the lines do follow, and it looks okay. You have physical buttons, heated seat control right there, which I really like. And then 12-volt USB, C USB 12 aux cord, 3.5 millimeter, and a nice deeply lined rubberized place to put your phone or whatever else you have to go down there. Auto start stop, traction control, and more with your cruise functionality. And then if you want to drop it down to low, play musical simulated gears with that CVT, you're welcome to. Cup holders are nice and out of the way, electronic parking brake, and then you have a nice storage compartment right here. And you might be wondering, that's a pretty tall center console. What does it look inside? Is that really the depth of it? Actually, it's not. It's just a well-placed tray. It's pretty deep, but as you can see, very narrow. No plugins or anything down there. Up top, we have just our standard mirror, lighting, and OnStar settings. So let's turn it off and let's hop in the back. See how we sit behind ourselves in the Trailblazer. The back door looks actually pretty similar to the front in design. Same kind of materials, soft touch, not super wide, but wide enough to comfortably fit your arm for most people. Not much of a grip, not very deep. My fingers kind of feel cramped in there, but it does an okay job. And then a bottle holder without the extra storage that sneaks back there. Kind of interesting, you have the lock and unlock right there out of the way. Cloth seats, they look really good with the two-tone color. It's a 40-60 split. They lay basically flat. Child anchors on the back of it. And then sitting behind herself at 5'11", I actually have a lot of room. Similar to something like a Kia Soul, it's surprisingly roomy, especially for the back passengers in something like this. Map pocket means I can be a backseat driver all day long, but I don't get a full down armrest. So my arm's just gonna have to sit there. Anyways, it looks pretty nice if you're being chauffeured in the back here. You do have a grab handle and you have some lighting up top, but not too much else to write home about. And we are locked, so we're gonna pull that up. Oh, you know what? That's the child safety locks. We're just gonna have to teleport outside. Awkward moments. There it is. It was on child safety lock, so there's the switch. It's easy to do, easy to fix. But we've escaped. We're going around the back now, and it's a good time to show you what the remote looks like. Unlock, lock, remote start, and alarm. So we're just gonna use the button down here. It's not powered. You have to lift it yourself, but those shocks do help you quite a bit, even on a really cold day like today. Roughly 24, 25 cubic feet back here. How it would be total volume. If you drop the seats, you get about 54 cubic feet. So that's comparable to something like a Crosstrek, or a little bit more than like a CHR. Probably pretty similar to a Kia Soul or a Nissan Kick. Anyways, back here we have a little bit of pockets behind the wheel wells. We have a few tie downs throughout. I wouldn't put anything too aggressive there, but I'm sure they could easily tolerate 20-30 pounds of pull max, probably. And then down here we have the spare tire with the tools and a little bit more storage. What are you guys hiding down here? Comment below, I want to know. But it's just a temporary storage with the eye bolt hole, so you have everything that you need. Coming around to the passenger rear, same theme follows. The tint on this looks pretty decent. And do we have a map pocket? We do. So we can have dueling backseat drivers. But if you guys are riding shotgun, what do you get? Basically the same panel as the driver, minus a few of those extra controls, and a really deep door pocket, which is nice. It makes up for not having powered adjustments though. Airbag. Don't forget how safe you are when you're riding in the Trailblazer. Our backpack's doing just fine. You can see the pricing there. Right now it just shows at MSRP from what the sticker shows. But up top, you have more of that black trim, rubberized lining for like a phone or whatever else you're gonna hide up there. And actually a pretty deep glove box, but there's no outlets in here. All right, guys, it's time to go around to the front and see what it looks like under the hood of this 1.2 liter Trailblazer. Under the hood, there's the 1.2 liter engine. You got some air induction through the grill, through the filter, all the piping and plumbing to get to the back side where the turbo hides. It must be shy because it doesn't want us to see it very well. And then it goes through the intake side and right into the 3-cylinder 1.2 liter turbo engine, which probably is the smallest passenger car engine I've ever driven. So kind of interesting. Takes 5 W30, full synthetic, oil dipstick right there. Brake fluid reservoir, windshield washer, and coolant over there. You have the battery, positive terminal, negative terminal, and then you have the alternator up top on the passenger side. Serpentine belts hiding down there because it is a transversely mounted engine, because this is a front-wheel drive platform. Not too bad, 137 horsepower. You know, it's not ground shaking, but it does the job. Let's see how it drives. Time to teleport inside, take it on the road, give you initial driving impressions, and see how fast it is. Initial driving impressions of this Trailblazer is that it's kind of fun just because it's so small. It's a lot smaller than the vehicles I usually drive, and roughly 1.5 feet shorter than my own daily driver, Outback Wilderness. It feels pretty comfortable if you're on smooth roads. If you are on bumpier roads, you do feel the ride quality goes down a little bit just because the suspension isn't the same as some of the higher Chevy models would offer for shocks and everything, but it's not too bad. The side mirrors are really good. Visibility overall is actually quite good. The windshield looks really large. You can see where the hood kind of waterfalls down, and then you basically know where it stops in the back as well. So I do like this, as well as the rear view mirror. You get a good glimpse because it's not that long of a vehicle on the interior. Ventilation, HVAC controls, they work well. The heated seats are adequate in this model. Armrest comfort, it's not too bad. I like it. I know they look a little bit narrow, but they fit my arm okay. Same with the center console. It's nice that everything is out of the way of where your arm would be. You're not gonna be bumping into your drinks and your shifter unless you're trying to, basically. I don't feel really high up in this car, nor do I feel low. It just feels pretty standard with this class of vehicle. And the seating position in the car, I do have probably about that much room above my head at 5'11", so it's comfortable. You could wear a hat. You could be having a good time in the Trailblazer. Let's do just a little bit of an acceleration right here. Maybe half throttle. You definitely feel when that little turbo kicks in after a few thousand RPM, and then the RPMs hold like a CVT is designed to hold where it needs the peak power at that moment. Speaker quality is decent in this. I do really like that it has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, because those are great systems, and usually they're better than the systems that the actual manufacturers have, and less likely to go out of date because those are always being updated. Road noise and wind noise seem to be dampened pretty decently in this. It's not super windy out today, so I can't attest to what it could be like in other conditions, but nothing stands out, which is usually a good sign. Cruising at about 46 miles per hour, and the RPMs are a little bit under 2,000. It sure is interesting driving such a small engine. I think if you guys are in the market for this class of vehicle, you definitely need to go out and drive them for yourself. I still think the seat comfort is quite comfortable after having been in here for a little while now. But we all have different bony landmarks, and different materials feel somewhat different to various people. So go check it out for yourself if you're in the market, if you're interested. But I actually like the interior of this. I think Chevy does a really good job with their economy class vehicles, because those are sometimes the highest selling ones, similar to the top model and top trim levels of each model. They need to represent the price you're paying pretty well. But just to get your foot in the door of a Chevy, I think this is pretty good for modern times. What are your thoughts? Comment below. Do you like the interior? Have you driven one of these, and what are you comparing it to? Otherwise, guys, we're almost to our private road, and I want to see what it can do 0 to 60, and you've waited long enough to find out. Let's get to that. 0 to 60, I'm going to brake grab the CVT. We have traction control turned off. True altitude is about 4,000 feet. Density altitude right now is about 2,500 feet. So even though this vehicle is turboed and it has the little compressor, basically, it's still down on power probably about 4 or 5%. I'll verbalize the true 0 to 60 after we do it, and then I'll show the graph. The bottom left shows without the foot of rollout. That's the way the magazine would have rated it on the same run. Let's see what it can do. you can probably tell by the GPS graph. 0 to 30 actually was pretty decent, but then it really slowed down. But we got a true 0 to 60 of 9.1. I'm assuming without the foot of rollout, it's probably in like the 8.7, 8.8 range. So not bad for this class of vehicle, especially for such a small engine. Let's get to our final thoughts. Final thoughts of this 23 Trailblazer is, it's pretty darn cool. It looks cool. I especially like the two-tone roof color combinations that some of the trim levels offer. It reminds me of my old FJ Cruiser days. Anyways, it handles decently on the road, not super powerful. You do feel like the engine is working to get you up to speed, but around town it feels adequate for speed. I can't attest to if it was loaded down or if it was towing 1,000 pounds. I don't imagine you'd be having a very good time and want to do that regularly, but if you had to every once in a while, I mean, it's rated for that, so you could do it. It looks good. It's affordable for most people if you're looking at a new car, especially in 2023 when the average new car is almost twice as expensive as this, nearly 50 grand these days, which is insane. So I'm really glad that Chevy offers something like this. Looks good. The LED headlights, I could imagine they're not the brightest at night, but they're probably adequate, better than halogens used to be. You could probably always update the LED bulb if you needed to. But anyways, guys, comment below. Tell me, would you buy one of these? If you like my channel, if you like my style, you could bookmark it by subscribing to watch more of my stuff. There's new stuff coming out weekly. Or like the video to help it get shared, help it get spread if you want to support the channel. Otherwise, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And take care.